Hari Om. So what we've covered last week, there are 6 main important topics that Krishna explains to us about the path of action. Before we proceed on the path of action, so what are the 6 topics we should know? Number 1 is Jnanam, meaning we should have the right knowledge. Right knowledge will lead to right action. Second is Karma. What is right action? We should be very clear about this. Third is Karta, meaning the doer. As we are the doers, what is the attitude of the doer? Fourth is Buddhi. Buddhi means your intellect. So, as I explained last week, you can have different types of intellect. You can attend the same lecture, but you take back different messages depending on your intellect. The fifth topic is dṛti, or perseverance, or what we call willpower. And finally, the sixth topic will be sukham, or what we mean by real, what is real happiness, what is true happiness. So we have covered jnanam, we have covered karma, karta, and we were now on the topic of buddhi, which is of 3 types: sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. So we have already covered sattvic and rajasic buddhi, and today we will look at tamasic buddhi starting from verse 32. Okay. So what is, in verse 32, what is tamasic buddhi? Now the difference is, in sattvic buddhi, one understands what is dharma, what is righteousness, what is adharma, what is unrighteousness, what is path of action, what are the duties and responsibilities that we should do, and what is path of renunciation. That means we also should spend time reading the scriptures, doing meditation, reflection. So a sattvic buddhi is very clear about what are the actions to be performed. Whereas a rajasic buddhi, what we saw last week, there is some weakness. He is not sure of things, can vacillate between right and wrong path. So sometimes when greed overpowers, when what we call jealousy overpowers, anger overpowers the intellect, then the buddhi can get confused and make wrong decisions also. Okay. What about a tamasic intellect? A tamasic intellect is also firmly convinced, it is very sure that whatever he is doing is right and all others are doing is wrong. So he is very confident, he is very sure. That is a tamasic buddhi. There is no confusion in the mind of a tamasic person. So let us look at verse 32. What does Krishna define as a tamasic buddhi? He says that buddhi, yaha buddhi, which is avrita. Avrita means that which is covered or fully enveloped by tamas. And what is the nature of tamas? Nature of tamas in a person is when there is ignorance, when there is negligence, when there is procrastination, all these qualities are there in a tamasic person. And these qualities of negligence, ignorance, procrastination, they overpower a person's right thinking, intellect. Okay. So there is maximum amount of tamas, but very little. There is some sattvic and there is some rajasic, but it's very, very minute. So the tamasic nature of that person overpowers that intellect. Okay. And thus, what happens when tamas overpowers the intellect? He says this person, manyate. Manyate means he considers adharmam dharmam iti. He looks upon dharma as adharma and he looks upon adharma as dharma. What is right, he thinks is wrong. What is wrong, he thinks is right. So that is the problem with the tamasic intellect. They have a lopsided view of the world. Now, why is it that they have a lopsided view of the world? Is because they have no inclination to listen to any knowledge. They are not interested at all. They are lazy. They want to remain ignorant. They think they are right, so they don't want to listen to anybody's attitude at all. And he's very right that he is very convinced that he's right. Okay. And the biggest danger is he can even end up misleading other people also. Because he's so much convinced that he's right, he can even persuade other people that his way of living is correct. So, what else is a tamasic intellect? Krishna goes on to explain. Sarvartan, he sees or perceives sarvatan, all things as viparitan, as contrary. Now, what do you mean by seeing things as contrary? In society, we see people taking care of their family, they go to work, they go to temple, they give charity, they look after their elderly parents. All these we realize are important functions, important duties that we have to undertake. Every human being is very conscious about this. But what about this tamasic person? He sees everything in an opposite way. That means neglect their families, avoid going to work, or even if they are at the workplace, they will procrastinate or do their work in a very shoddy way, in a very shabby way. Okay. And they don't believe that they should waste their time or money going to do seva, going to give charity. They think all this is a waste of time. Okay. So they look at everything in a very opposite way. Okay. Now, the interesting thing is recently there was a documentary, there was a research done by a Western university. What happens to a human being's mind after 12 p.m.? So when the tamas take over, it is said in our scriptures, Sattvic time is early morning from 4 to say 8 a.m. That is a time when the mind is very conducive to absorbing spiritual literature. And then from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you're so engrossed in the world, your mind is very rajasic, very active. And then you come back home, 8 p.m. to the next morning, 4 a.m., the mind goes into this very lazy, tamasic mode. So this study was done of people's attitude or mental state after 12, and they found that there is very little thinking activity. The intellect literally slows down. There is not much reflection on what is right and what is wrong. That part of that brain becomes very weak after 12. So what happens? You start making wrong decisions, you go to wrong company, you go to wrong places, because after 12 you are not using your what we call your intellectual capacity in the proper way. And this is a study, they proved it, that after 12, that's why it's dangerous. They say you shouldn't go out after 12 because you might end up doing all the wrong things. So that is a tamasic mind. This is what Krishna says. When the person has looks at the world lopsided, thinks everything that is wrong is right, and everything that is right is wrong. So Krishna says, Saha tamasi buddhi. That is a tamasic intellect. Okay. So, what is the difference now, you may say, between a rajasic and a tamasic buddhi? Because a rajasic buddhi also sometimes sees things in a lopsided way. Tamasic buddhi also sees things in a lopsided way. But what is the difference? The difference here is that rajasic buddhi is only aware of two goals in life. What are the four goals in life? Dharma, kama, artha, moksha, right? To a rajasic buddhi, he only sees or gives prominence to which one? Kama and artha. So he neglects what you call dharma and he neglects moksha, or he doesn't give much importance to that. Whereas a tamasic buddhi does not even give any importance to all dharma, kama, artha, moksha. He's not interested in all the four goals of life. So that is the difference between a tamasic and a rajasic buddhi. Okay. And what type of knowledge, we must understand what type of knowledge can bring us down. our scriptures say there are three types of knowledge which are dangerous to us. One is no knowledge. A person who has no knowledge is not able to make the right decisions. A second is partial knowledge. You know part of the knowledge, but the most of it you do not know. So your understanding is very limited, partial knowledge. And the third is wrong knowledge. Totally, you have what you call wrong knowledge means you have a wrong side, a wrong way of looking at things also. So no knowledge, partial knowledge, or wrong knowledge can be very harmful to a person. In chapter 2, if you go back to chapter 2, verse 52, you will see Krishna talks about the benefit of right knowledge. So if we just go back to chapter 2, verse 52, which is on page, 48. 44, 46. Okay, 40. Okay. Chapter 2, verse 52, Krishna says, when your mind will cross over the mire of delusion. So why is there delusion? Because there's no knowledge or there is wrong knowledge. When you have the right knowledge, you cross over the mire of delusion, you will grow indifferent to what has been heard. So whatever you heard before, all the wrong things you heard before, now you will be carefully analyzing them and shifting them away. So all the wrong knowledge that you have gained, whatever you heard in the past, now there is clarity in your thinking, you'll be able to disregard all that. And what has been heard and what is yet to be heard. So even whatever else you hear in the future, you are able to compare it to the knowledge you have. But once you're deprived of that knowledge, whatever you hear, you accept it as a truth. Whatever you're going to hear also, you accept it as a truth. So most important is for us to get the right knowledge. And therefore, that's why we should take time and effort to study the scriptures. We should try to understand the scriptures because right knowledge is only contained in the scriptures. Whatever you hear, therefore, you have to always compare it with what you are reading in the scriptures. So now the three types of buddhi also have been explained by Krishna: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic buddhi. Now in verse 33, Krishna will start with a new topic, and that is called dṛti. Dṛti means effort or free will. And what is the unique thing about free will? Free will has been gifted to all human beings. Only human beings have been gifted with this free will to choose their goals in life. And once we choose the goals in life, we have the knowledge also what is the right goal in life. But what we need is that dṛti, that fortitude, that determination to stay on the right track. Because you can have the right knowledge, you can have the right information, but if you don't have that willpower to push yourself, then the knowledge also is not going to be of any use. So, dṛti is another very important quality, and Krishna says there are three types of dṛti. You can have a sattvic dṛti, rajasic dṛti, or tamasic dṛti. So, not necessary, if you have the wrong type of dṛti also is going to be detrimental to you. And the Katha Upanishad, in one of the very famous, beautiful verses, it warns every spiritual seeker. It says, arise, awake, seek the great teachers and realize the truth. Why? The path, the spiritual path, is as sharp as a razor's edge. So it compares the spiritual path to like walking on the edge of a razor, where you can end up getting hurt or you can end up falling off the razor's edge. So it is not easy to walk the spiritual path. There are many challenges, there are many obstacles, and therefore we always have to be very, very alert, and we must be very determined to keep on what we call steady on that path. Okay. So this is what the Upanishad says, that it's like walking on the edge of a razor blade. Okay. Now, what does the Lord say about now in verse 33? He's going to talk about what is sattvic dṛti, okay, which is the right type of self-effort we have to have. So he says, dṛti, this willpower you have must be yogena avya vicharini. Yogena avya vicharini means it must be backed by or supported by yoga. Now, what is this yoga? We have to understand. Here, avya vicharini means unwavering attitude. You must be very firm, you must be very persistent. And how do you do this? How do you be firm and persistent on the spiritual path? You must always keep on asking questions. You must always keep on contemplating every move, every action you make, every thought. You must be very alert what is happening. So everything that you do in life, you have to question whether it is the right way or the wrong way. This questioning will awaken our intellect, whether whatever we are doing is right or wrong. So he says that this avya vicharini means continuous questioning and improving on the spiritual path. You must keep your mind fixed on the goal of life. And that's why it's important for us to read the scriptures every day. It is important for us to listen to some spiritual talks every day. Important for us to do our prayers and rituals every day because it keeps our mind focused on what is our goal in life. So he carries on to tell us what is this sattvic dṛti. He says, yaya, that by which dharayate, one must be able to control or have mastery over kriya, meaning the functions of what? Manaha, you must have firm control over your mind because everything starts with the mind. If you don't have a firm control over your mind, you lead an indisciplined life, you are never going to be successful on the spiritual path. So when one has control or mastery over the manaha, one is the mind. Pranaha means the vital forces. Now, what are the vital forces? You see, having self-control doesn't just mean doing prayers and rituals and all that. It also means bringing discipline in your whole life. So what you eat, what type of material you read, what type of friends you mix with, where are the places that you go, all this must be under your control. Now, I'll give you a very simple example. Our scriptures say, if you eat vegetarian food, your mind becomes pure, right? Do you agree? You don't agree? Okay, how does food affect the mind? Very good question. For first question, let's ask ourselves, do all our scriptures encourage us to eat vegetarian food? Correct? Because they say vegetarian food gives you purity of mind. Now, how it affects the mind is simple. Again, we go back to the scriptures. They say every food item has got three components. The first is the gross component. The gross component affects the gross body. So, example, if you have vitamin C deficiency, what do they tell you to eat? Oranges. Eat oranges. Why? Because the gross aspect of orange has got vitamin C, which nourishes this body, right? So if you got certain deficiencies, they'll tell you to eat certain types of food. Now that is the gross part. But every food item also contains a subtle energy also in it. That subtle energy affects the subtle part of our body, which is the mind. So you've heard the saying, you are what you eat. And then if you look at the animal kingdom, it's a very beautiful example. You see the carnivorous animals who eat meat are very ferocious and aggressive by nature. And those herbivorous animals who eat plants, etc., are very docile in nature. So our scriptures say you have gross, part of the food affects the gross body, the subtle affects the subtle body, which is your mind, and the third aspect is known as the waste product, which you expel out from your body. So there is a correlation between food and the state of your mind. Now we come back to the question of, if we are told that eating vegetarian food gives you a peaceful mind, a calm mind, yet why do we see vegetarians, they are so aggressive, they are so angry, they are so egoistic, isn't it? We have come across people, they say, I'm a pure vegetarian. 20, 30 years I never touched meat, but very egoistical, prone to anger and other type of wrongful, what we call tendencies they have. Now, why is that? The scriptures tell us eat vegetarian, you get a pure mind, you get a calm mind, but we see the people, they don't seem to be calm. They seem to be egoistic, they seem to lose their temper, and they are vegetarians. So what is the reason? Vasanas are there, but then don't forget self-effort also is there. So why is that? See, when the scriptures tell us what you intake affects your mind, but don't forget, when we intake things, we don't only intake through the mouth, we also intake through our eyes, we also intake through our ears, and everything that we see, we hear affects the mind. So whenever you interact with the world, it's not only just the food you eat, but the places you go to, the type of people you mix with, the materials that you read, all that affects the mind ultimately. So here, when we come back to the discipline, the kriyaha, the functions, what are to be disciplined? One is manaha, that is the mind has to be disciplined. How is the mind disciplined? Through bhakti yoga, through devotion, through prayers, through rituals, through chanting your mantras. Second is prana, meaning the vital forces, meaning whatever you eat, whatever you see, whatever you hear, you have to be always on guard. You have to be very disciplined about all these things. And the indriyas also, the senses also are affected. So one must control everything, the mind, the life forces in your body, plus the senses. You have to lead a totally disciplined life. Any one or two weaknesses can destroy us. That's what Adi Sankaracharya, when he wrote in Viveka Chudamani, he said every animal has got one defect which can cause its destruction. Example, a firefly has got the defect of sight. When he sees a flame, he rushes towards the flame and he ends up killing himself. A fish has got a defect of smell. When the fisherman drops what we call a worm into the water, the fish smells the worm, goes towards it, bites on the hook, and ends up destroying itself. What about human beings? They have weakness of how many senses? Huh? One or two? All the senses, any part of our senses or any part of 5 senses can cause our downfall. So that's why discipline is not only required from the food we eat, but from disciplining all our senses also. So these are the indriyas also. And then what else he says? So two things here we must understand, that our discipline must be avya vicharini, means without any break. It is not that today I discipline myself, tomorrow I take a break. We must be very consistent on this discipline. And today I've sent you some what you call notes in your WhatsApp. You can look at it. A sattvic person, his what we call his conviction or his willpower, when it comes to liberation, there must be a desire for liberation. If you don't have the desire for liberation, then you will take your spiritual path very, what you call, in a very, not in a very serious way. So the 4 types of liberation that human beings desire, I sent to you. At the very lower stage of liberation, it is what is called ati manda. If you look at your notes, ati manda. Ati manda means a person thinks getting liberation is like winning a lottery. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, it's okay. He doesn't think of liberation or moksha as a very important point of human life. That is called ati manda. Higher than that is mandaha. Mandaha stage means he knows about the need for liberation of moksha, but the attitude of the person is, never mind, now I'm young, let me enjoy life. Later I will see when I retire, then I'll start thinking about moksha. So there is no hurry in that person. That is called manda stage. Higher than that is madhyam stage. Madhyam stage is when a person keeps on like a pendulum. Suddenly he's okay, he wants to go towards spirituality. Suddenly he swings to the world. Suddenly he attends Geeta class. Suddenly he goes off to the material world. He's not very sure where he's going. So his desire for liberation keeps on fluctuating. And the most highest stage is called the tivra stage. The tivra stage is when there is a burning desire for liberation. He wants nothing but liberation. He is totally, his total goal is to attain liberation. So our scriptures say he doesn't what you call indulge in the world because his whole mind is fixed on liberation. That is called tivra liberation, burning desire for liberation. So the Lord says, when you have this, what we call avya bicharini, that means uninterrupted desire for liberation and a desire to bring discipline into your life, which must be uninterrupted. So even our bhakti, you see, how do you define the right bhakti? What is your definition of a good bhakti or a good bhakta? Bhakti must have two very important criteria. Whenever we have devotion for the Lord, there must be two important criteria. One is the devotion must be unconditional. The only reason we love God, we worship God, is because we want to be one with God. Not because we love God because we want something from Him from the world. So it must be unconditional bhakti, number one. Number two, your bhakti must be uninterrupted bhakti, meaning just because everything is going smoothly in your life, your bhakti is strong, you love the Lord, you thank Him, you worship Him. The minute things don't go right in your life, then you start complaining to Him, getting angry with Him. So that bhakti must be avya vicharini, must be what we call unconditional. It must be always there. So these are the two conditions of bhakti. So the Lord says, such a dṛti, such a fortitude is the sattvic dṛti. Now, in verse 34, he will tell us about Rajasic dṛti. What is Rajasic firmness? Now, Sattvic person is dedicated and committed to his path. Even a Rajasic person is dedicated and committed to his path. But what is the difference? What is the difference? Both are dedicated, both are committed to their goals. But what is the difference? What does a Sattvic person desire? Moksha. What does a Rajasic person desire? Huh? Kama and Artha. So he is only interested in material and in possessions, material growth and possessions, desires. So he is also very firm. He knows what he wants. He is working hard to attain all his material goals and achieve all his desires. So the difference is sattvic willpower is driven by a pure mind, by purity of mind, by love for God, compassion, humility. Rajasic willpower is driven by greed, jealousy, anger, lust, desires, selfish desires. So that is the difference. So the Lord says here that dṛti of a Rajasic person, he uses his willpower, but unfortunately it is phala akankshi. Phala akankshi means, phala means fruit. Akankshi means desires for fruit. There is desire for selfish results. Okay. So he has willpower, he puts in all his effort, not for moksha, but he's determined to get what he wants, to fulfill all his desires and to get whatever possessions that he wants. By hook or by crook, he will make sure he gets what he wants. So that is the difference. So now you have to analyze yourself. Am I putting maximum effort only to get worldly things, or do I also spend some time and effort on the spiritual path? See, we cannot say you don't spend time on the material part. Of course, you need shelter, you need food, you need clothing, you need water, you need all that. You need sufficient bank balance. But the question is, always our scriptures say, we must start with a balanced life. If you're putting so much effort on the material part, take some time and put some effort on the spiritual part also. You have to lead a balanced life. But if you only put total effort on the material side and neglect your spiritual side, then you're not fulfilling what is the object or what is the goal of human life. So he says this person is driven, he puts in full effort, but only for attaining selfish goals. And what else? He is driven and committed by prasangena. He has intense attachment to things, intense attachment to everything. And attachment is to what you already have. Okay? And he's never satisfied. Whatever he has also, he still wants more and more and more. So Adi Shankaracharya compares attachment to alcoholism. It's like drinking alcohol, he says. He compares attachment to intoxication. Now, what is the similarity? Whenever we consume so much alcohol, what happens to our thinking power? What happens to our rational capacity? We lose our rational capacity, isn't it? We don't think correctly, we do the wrong things, we say the wrong things. So, alcohol can overtake our thinking capacity. Similarly, Adi Shankaracharya says, when you have severe attachment to your money, to your power, to your fame, to your property, you also get carried away. You lose your thinking capacity. So, prasangena means, prasangena to intense attachment. Okay, prasangena, intense attachment. You're caught in a web of action. So there's desire, there is action, you get what you want, another desire, action, get what you want, you are continuously trapped in this circle, right? So, and the Lord uses a very strong word here. Sangena is attachment. When you put the prefix prasangena, P-R-A, means deep and intense attachment. It's very difficult to come out from this attachment. Okay. So, what is wrong with having attachment to objects of this world? Again, the scriptures, Mundaka Upanishad tells us that attachments causes three problems. And I've sent you the notes again today. If you look at what are the three defects in worldly objects? Whenever we are pursuing anything in the world, the Mundaka Upanishad tells us there are three defects in worldly objects. What are they? One is Dukhamishritatvam. Dukhamishritatvam means anything in the world can give you joy. We don't deny that. The scriptures don't deny that. You buy a new house, you get joy. You buy a new car, you get joy. But it says every joy in the world, every object can give you joy, but that joy is mixed with sorrow. Every joy you experience in life is mixed with sorrow. Why is that? Because you see, here's where they analyze, the great saints and sages, they analyze. Why is everything in the world that can give us joy, but it has an element of sorrow? Now, what they say is, when you don't have the object and you have a strong desire for that object and you're pursuing that object to get hold of that object, are you happy or sad? Are you happy or sad? You're sad because you have not yet acquired that object. So in pursuit, there is sorrow. When you actually get that object that you wanted, are you happy or sad? And then, why you sad then? No. When you see there's something better, right? So I bought iPhone 17. Suddenly they release now iPhone 18. I worked so hard to get 17 now. I saved so much money, I got it. But now there's a better object. Or I buy this car, the latest model, 6 months later, I see my neighbor, he's got a better model than mine. So when I have it also, I'm still not happy because I want something better. And finally, when I lose it, it makes me even more upset because I'm so attached to it. So in pursuit, there's no happiness. In acquisition, there's no happiness. In loss also, there is no happiness. So that is called Dukhamishritatvam. That means sorrow is mixed with happiness. There is some happiness, but there is also sorrow. Second is called Atrupti karatvam, which means understanding finite actions can only give you finite happiness. I repeat, finite actions can only give you finite happiness. Meaning what? If I do a prayer and ritual to get something, my ritual is only finite. It is only for a certain a certain period of time. So what I get also is going to be finite. Finite plus finite gives you what? Finite plus finite gives you finite. Finite plus finite cannot give you infinite. So all actions are finite, all results are finite, which means there will come a time when I am not happy again. I again have to perform more actions to seek what I want. Because why? The world itself is finite. The world is not infinite. So when you pursue what is finite, how can it give you infinite happiness? And the third is called Bandakatvam, which means once you're so dependent on something, you go from dependence to over dependence. You cannot get independence, which means what? First, I am the master. My desire is my servant. I can control my desire. When I give in to all my desires, then desires become my master and I become the slave of my desires. So I get totally attached, totally engrossed with all my objects, with all my attachments. Okay. So that's why the scriptures want us to think. We all know this, but we blindly rush into it. We don't care. We keep on buying whatever heart desires, we keep on buying. We never think. And now what is the latest trend in Japan? What they talk about? Minimalistic. You heard of them? Minimalistic. They're asking us to evaluate what you have in your house. Do I really need this? Do I really... People, when they shift from a landed property to an apartment, that's when they realize, my God, why the hell did I go and buy all these things? What am I going to do? I didn't need this. I don't need this. I don't need this. You end up throwing away so much things you don't really need. So that's why they say minimum possessions you have, your mind also is free. More possessions you have, the more your mind is occupied with all your possessions. So what else is Rajasic dṛti, Rajasic, what we call Rajasic firmness? He says, willpower of a Rajasic person, dharayate, he holds on with firm commitment. Okay. And what does he hold on to? Firm commitment? You'll be surprised, he uses the word dharayate, dharma, to righteousness. So imagine a Rajasic person holding on firmly to dharma. Why would a Rajasic person hold on to dharma so firmly? It makes us think. See, that's what the verse 34 is saying. Dharayate, but to what? Firmly he holds on to dharma, to righteousness. You can see in the first line of the Sanskrit text, dharma, kama, artha. Can see that? Right? Okay, kama, artha we can understand. But why would a person, a Rajasic person, hold on firmly to dharma? So this makes us think, what exactly is this dharma that the righteous person is holding on to so dearly for life? So the commentary of Adi Shankaracharya explains this so beautifully. It says, a Rajasic person believes in God. He believes in prayers. He believes in rituals. But what does he use God, prayers, rituals for? To get whatever he wants. What are the things he wants? More material things, more possessions. So he holds on firmly to dharma. He believes, he does rituals. If you remember in chapter 17, Krishna explained to us what is Rajasic ritual and prayer? What is Rajasic yajna? A person performs yajna, he performs rituals, prayers, but his attitude is to get some benefit back for himself. So this Rajasic person, he has got strong willpower. He will go to all lengths. He will perform rituals, prayers, elaborate pujas. He will go on pilgrimages. But his mind is only focused on one thing. I want to ask the Lord to give me more power, more land, more property, more gold, more money, etc., etc. So he holds on to dharma for that purpose also. And what is the next thing he holds on to? Kama. So dharma, kama, artha. What is kama? All types of pleasures. And not only pleasures on earth, he will even perform prayers that give him pleasures. After he dies, he goes to Swarga Loka, he still wants to enjoy there also. And the third is artha, which means that he will put in all full effort to hold on to all property, wealth, etc. Okay, so the Rajasic person is driven by dharma, kama, artha. But what is missing? Moksha is missing. He won't hold on to moksha. So even if God comes in front of him and gives him moksha, he will say, no, I'm not interested. I just give me kama and artha. That's all I want. Okay. So this is the nature of a Rajasic person, the dṛti that holds on firmly to only getting material and what you call worldly benefits back from the world. So that is the Rajasic dṛti. Now, what about a tamasic dṛti? What is the nature of a tamasic willpower? Tamasic willpower, he also has willpower. You may think a tamasic person is lazy, he's sleeping. What kind of willpower he has? What kind of willpower will a tamasic person have? He's sleeping all the time, he's eating. So, what kind of willpower does he has? What kind of self-effort will he put in? What is his willpower used for? His willpower is used for that I refuse to do anything. He holds on firmly to that also. He holds on firmly to ignorance. He holds on firmly to not doing anything at all. No matter how much you push him, how much you advise him, he will hold on firmly to his own wrong way of not doing anything at all. Okay, so that also requires willpower, not to do anything also. So what does Krishna say here? Tamasic willpower is yaya, that effort, na vimunchati eva. He does not give up at all. Even whatever he's doing wrong, he will not give up. And what is it that he doesn't give up? That he holds on firmly to? So the word he uses there, swapnam. The word swapnam means sleep or laziness, procrastination, daydreaming. He will hold on to that firmly. So there was one little joke I read about that there was a night watchman, and one day he had a dream that his boss was going in a plane and the plane crashed. So he heard the next day the boss was leaving for an overseas trip in a plane. So he went to see the boss. He said, boss, I had a bad dream last night. What is the dream? I dreamt that when you got in the plane, and I understand you're leaving somewhere overseas on a flight, that plane is going to crash. Please don't go. So the boss said, are you sure? He said, yes, I had a very strong dream that you were in the plane and the plane crashed. Please don't go. My dreams rarely don't come true. So the boss called the secretary and canceled the flight. Said, cancel it. Okay, I can wait one more day extra. Next day, sure enough, the news came out in the paper that that plane or that flight where the boss was going, the plane crashed. So the boss was very happy. His life was safe. So he called the night watchman. He said, your dream came true. And now I'm going to sack you. Said the night watchman, says, sir, I saved your life. Why are you sacking me? He said, you're a night watchman. You told me you're dreaming. That means last night, what were you doing? Were you sleeping or were you awake? By right, you should have been awake and you should have been guarding my property. So now that means I know you're not doing your duty. So this is swapnam. Hangs on very, what we call, with a great effort, he hangs on to sleep. to laziness, to procrastination, to daydreaming. Second, what does he hold on to? Bhayam, fear. And this is where you see the person has got very negative attitude about himself. I won't do this because I'm sure I'll fail. I won't try for this job. They won't accept me. So there's always insecurity in a tamasic person. And he holds on to that very firmly. And as a result of holding on to this insecurity, he will never try anything. He will never learn any new knowledge. He will always be where he is. No effort also. And you see many people like this, then they go to astrologers to read their future because they are not getting anywhere in life. But why they are not getting anywhere? Because they are not putting in their effort at all. So, bhayam, fear of the future. And because of that, insecurity. Third is shokam, sorrow. The word sorrow here means they are always complaining, they are always lamenting about everything in life. Nothing is right. Everything, God is against me. Whatever I do, He's never helping me. So they have a lot of negativity. Okay. And even if somebody tries to give them advice, they're always suspicious of the person, whether the person has a wrong motive for giving them that advice. So shokam, they're always complaining and lamenting about life. And as a result, they go into vishadam. Vishadam means depression, dejection. Okay, vishadam. And finally, Lord says madhyam, intoxication. They also get carried away because of their family lineage, their power, their name, and they hold on to that also with great effort also. So, the Lord says, person who has all these qualities, saha, that dṛti, such a kind of dṛti, the kind of willpower is durmeda. Durmeda means if he has all those qualities, then his willpower, he's incapable of discrimination because he doesn't put any effort to get new knowledge, to learn anything new. So he is incapable of discrimination. He will always remain in a state of ignorance. Okay. And for such a person, there is no material growth, there is no spiritual growth, there is only self-destruction also. So neither there's material growth, neither there is spiritual growth. So now the Lord has explained the three types of self-effort or dṛti. Okay. Now in verse 36, now that brings us to verse 36. Yes. Right. That one which is sorrow mixed with happiness. Yes. Yeah, the other two I explained also just now. The first one was sorrow mixed with happiness, right? That was the, let me just get my notes. Hang on. Okay. The first one was sorrow mixed with happiness. That is Dukhamishritatvam. Okay. Sorrow mixed with happiness means in pursuit there is sorrow, maintenance there is sorrow, in loss there is sorrow. Okay. Second one was Atrupti. Atrupti means you never get satisfaction because all the actions you're doing are finite, the result is also finite. So Atrupti. Trupti means satisfied. Atrupti means you'll always remain with that emptiness in you no matter what you get. So you always are comparing also with what others have, and that also gives you stress and tension. So that is the second one. The third one I explained was banda. Banda means bondage. That means you become initially a master and your desires are a slave, but eventually the desires become your master and you become a slave. So that creates a bondage with your desires. Okay. So those are the three problems with pursuing all these material things. So now that brings us to verse number 36, right? So verse number 36, he will talk now about the final topic of sukham, or what is true happiness. Okay. So in verse 36 first, he introduces the subject of happiness. Now again, we may think that happiness is just happiness, but no, Lord is telling us here there are three types of happiness. There is a sattvic, there is a rajasic, and there is a tamasic happiness also. So, what are the three types of happiness now he will introduce? He says, Idhanim, he's telling Arjuna, Idhanim, now, me srunu, hear from me. What? Trividam sukham, that there are three types of happiness, trividam sukham, okay? And yatra, that happiness in which one ramate takes delight, becomes fully satisfied, owing to what? Abhyasat. Abhyasat means through practice, to habitual practice. Okay. So here in verse 36, he's talking about the three types of happiness. That means when we continuously do some actions, and through that habit we get that happiness, and that happiness, the Lord says, what is the end result of happiness? You see, why do we pursue happiness? Why do we pursue happiness? Why does anybody pursue happiness? You feel a void within you. So that means there is a state of sorrow. You feel something is missing in your life, isn't it? That's why you're going to pursue something in order to fill up that void. So the Lord says, happiness is by which somebody by practice nigachati fully attains dukha antam, the end of sorrow. So meaning, the reason why we pursue happiness is because we ourselves perceive at the moment now I am not happy. There is something missing in me. So I look for a relationship, I look to buy something, I look to go somewhere for holiday, because I feel by meeting this person, by buying this object, or by going for holiday, I fulfill that emptiness in me. Okay, that emptiness in me. So dukha antam means, dukha is sorrow, anta means the end of sorrow. In order to end my emptiness, end my sorrow, I pursue that happiness. So all of us have a right to pursue happiness. Scriptures are not denying us that we cannot pursue happiness. Even animals and insects also pursue happiness. So why not humans? Okay. So now, let us look at it this way. One person, he has tension. He faces tension, but he finds by smoking a cigarette, it relieves his tension. So he gets into a habit. Whenever he feels tension, he takes up a cigarette, smokes a cigarette, and that gives him calmness. Okay. And then that becomes a habit. So now he's finding his happiness through the cigarette, through an object. Okay. So another person finds that I get happiness by going to temple, by listening to spiritual discourses, by listening to bhajans, I get happiness. So different people end their sorrow in different ways of finding happiness. When they find that happiness, it ends their sorrow. And everybody has their own way of finding it. Okay. But what is really true happiness? This is what Krishna wants to define. What is true happiness? Okay. So let us now look at the three types of happiness. He starts with verse number 37, okay, where he talks about sattvic happiness. What is true happiness? What is sattvic happiness? So, sattvic sukham is something where a person does not depend on external things. Okay, the joy has got to come from within, inner joy. So, how do I know that I am experiencing this sattvic happiness? So the Lord says, Yat agre. If that happiness, agre means in the beginning. In the beginning, that happiness that you are pursuing, visham iva, it feels like poison. Visham is poison. So anything that you pursue, you want to do something. Supposing you want to get the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, okay? You have decided, I want to get the knowledge. While you're pursuing the knowledge, you're still not happy because you have not got that knowledge. So it seems to you, poison here means what? Challenge. It's difficult to understand. It's stressful. I cannot understand the scriptures. I cannot understand Sanskrit. So in the beginning, it looks like poison. Okay, there's a lot of effort to be put in it. Okay, but he says, uh, but what he says, pariname, in the end, if you keep on going, keep on meeting all the obstacles and going and overcoming those obstacles, in the end, it is like amritopamam. Amritopamam means it feels like nectar. So, what is true happiness? That means what he's trying to tell us, true happiness is not that what you get instant happiness. Anything that gives you instant happiness, you better be beware. You better be careful about it. So true happiness is that which causes you to struggle, which causes you to feel distress, sorrow, but at the end, it gives you real happiness. That is true happiness. So that means anything that gives you instant happiness, you've got to be very careful about it. And this is beautifully depicted by the story in the Puranas when the Asuras, that is the demoniac people, and the Devas, they wanted to churn the, remember the story, the churning of the ocean. What was their purpose of churning the ocean? The Devas and to get a nectar. So what is nectar? Amritam, what does that signify? What is the allegory of a nectar? See, what do you say here? Huh? Okay, immortality brings you what? Happiness, exactly. So that nectar represents ultimate happiness. Okay. So the Devas wanted the nectar, the Asuras wanted the nectar. So they decided to join together and churn that, what you call that, churning rod, the Mantara mountain, churn the ocean. And then what came out of the churning? Huh? Poison came out. So many things came out. In fact, some nice, good things came out. Some wrong things also came out. Now, when all the nice attractions came out, there was Mohini, the wonderful, beautiful dancer. There was so many other beautiful things. What did the Asuras do? And what did the Devas do? When the nice things came out, all those attractive things came out. What did the Devas and the Asuras do? The Amritam hadn't come out yet. They were churning. Before the Amritam came out, all the other nice things also came out also from that churning. What did the Devas and Asuras do? The Asuras ran after all those nice things, whereas the Devas carried on their churning, waiting for the Amritam. So, what is the moral of the lesson? What is the moral of the lesson? You have to struggle for that real happiness. You have to struggle. And while you're struggling for the real happiness, there will be a lot of distractions. So if you get carried away with these distractions, you will lose the ultimate happiness. So be very careful. When you're on that spiritual path, there will be a lot of distraction. There will be a lot of attractions also. A lot of things taking you away from your spiritual path. But if you are determined, if you're firm on the path, then what you get ultimately is that real Amritam, that real happiness. Okay. So we will stop here, and next 2-3 weeks there won't be classes because we have the Geeta Jayanti starting on the 14th, next week Friday. So I urge all of you to take that effort to come in every day as you can and listen to all the different discourses by different people. And please don't forget, we are hosting chapter 17. So all those who wish to participate, please contact Brother Kumara. Okay, he is in charge of organizing the whole thing. Okay, we end with the prayer. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat